So welcome to Manifest Monday. We added another yet again for another Monday. Um, Shout out to MLK. You know what I'm saying? It's MLK Day
Yes,
officially.
sir.
That's what we acknowledging this fine
That's
Monday.
it.
You know what I mean?
And that's the only thing we acknowledge.
That's what we acknowledging today. Shout out to my guys, man. We got Diamond in the building. Got my
Mhm.
man DJ Zenas in the building, and we got myself, Ramond, in the building, man. What's good? What's good, y'all? And we are the Spot Network team.
Yes, sir.
Um, and yeah, man. And so today we gonna let's get straight into it, man. There's a conversation that we was having about the game yesterday. I don't know if anybody was watching the NFL games, right? And games get close sometimes, right, man? But what matters is a lot of times is the win, right?
Yep.
So what
Sure.
really matters, no matter what type of game you have, a lot of people talk about this word
Right.
clutch,
Hmm.
right? So it's like, it almost goes against like what you did the rest of the game if you don't finish strong, man. So we just
Right.
wanted to have a conversation about that, man, about winning what it matters, man.
Yep.
So winning when it matters, man. So let me ask this first question to kick us off. To y'all, what does it mean to be clutch?
Uh, I'll start. I think really when I think of clutch, man, I think of really just being reliable.
Right.
Just showing up whenever your number is called upon for
Right.
whatever reason, just being dependable, just knowing that you're gonna show up day in and day out and just perform whatever it is that I can trust in you to do, right? I
Right.
think I think that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day.
That's a fact.
That, that's a great answer, Z. I'll have to go with that too. And I'll also say, like, they can trust you whenever things matter the most. They can count on you. Like, I know DG is gonna be clutch whenever I reach out to him.
Hmm.
Knowing that people can like count on you, and knowing that you have the capability to perform at that specific task whenever they count on you, right? Because I feel like in order to be clutch, you have to have like a track record of doing these things. You can't be clutch if you've never done these things before. So over time, if you like perform in a specific situation, you build that track record, and people can count on you, and then they will consider you being clutch because whenever they reach out to you, you can deliver. However, though, there are some times in that clutch moment, especially when it comes to sports, you don't deliver, even though you're clutch.
Hmm.
But when that time really
That's a fact.
matter,
Yeah,
so because you're not gonna be perfect all the time. Life happens. Like sometimes you make
yeah.
a mistake. But I think just overall being clutch is like you have to have a higher percentage of winning, than losing in that situation,
Hmm.
whatever that situation might be.
Yeah.
The probability
You
of you succeeding has to be higher than the probability of you like losing or not succeeding to be
yeah,
considered clutch.
agree.
What about you,
I,
Ron? What do you
I,
think?
like I said, I hate when I go last sometimes, man, because I don't really have too much to add to it. Yeah, like I think like y'all said it the best. When your number's called, you ready to go, man. But it's tough when we talk about the word clutch. It's kind of like it's so weird because when we talk about it, especially like in sports and like
Right.
in these moments, it's like if you it we only really can consider clutch as if you like the
Right.
end, right?
Hmm.
Trust.
Like you know what I mean. So like, are you like to be honest? Like, so let's ask a question here, right? So are you clutch if you score 40 points, but you always miss the game winner? Are, are you clutch?
I
You
mean, are you missing a layup
you average
or?
40 you average 40 points a game, but you always miss the game winner. Are you clutch?
Nah,
Yeah.
nah. I think I
Always. I
think
mean,
I
yes.
think I think you
Always.
can. You
Yeah.
at that point you're like an automatic bucket, but you're not clutch.
Right. If you always, the
Every
worst
time,
focus in the world, always, yeah,
every
then you're
time,
clutch.
like
Automatic
you,
except when it matters.
Right. Yeah. So I wouldn't consider you being clutch. I would say you're efficient. You're good. You're good, but like in order for you
we
to be
we can't.
clutch, you can't always miss the layup, bro. You have to mix some. I think you have to have more wins than losses in order to be clutch in this
Yeah.
type of situation. So let's say on the stat, like out of 10 layups, at least five,
Be
six,
50%.
yeah, at least you're
Nah,
gonna have
you
like thirty
you
percent
can't you
like
can't be clutch hitting 60% of your layups, man.
layups
That's terrible.
in the NBA. If you layups, like you have to have a higher percentage though. I'm not talking
You
about like
got
three.
You better be. I think your percentage got to be higher than that, man.
Right.
On a layup, you better not be
Maybe
missing
open
layups.
layups, maybe open layups, but I mean it's usually never an open layup.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
you're right.
saying?
Right.
You're right. You're
Right.
right.
That's true. But yeah, I'll say
But yeah,
it needs to be above 500. I mean, above 50% at least in order to, to be considered clutch in that moment. So five out
it's
of
tough.
ten at least. 5 out of 10. If the game is on the line, you need to like win 5 out of 10 times in order for me to consider you clutch.
So let's reverse it real quick. What if you miss all the games, you miss all the buckets during the game, but you always hit the you always hit the game winner? Are you clutch?
I mean, you are clutch in that moment, though.
Technically, by definition, you're clutch because you make it when it
You
matters, though. Like
you
he
go
said,
0 for 16,
he's
but
0
on
for
that
16, but
17th,
that
but on
17th
that
shot though.
17th shot, it's going in. That's clutch
But if you do that all the time, if you do it all
all the
the
time,
time,
every time, bro. Like give me the ball at the end of the game and it's in. It's in, bro. Don't
then
give it to me, you know what I'm saying, like in the middle of the second quarter because I'm fucking up. But you know what I'm saying? At the
That's
end of it,
I mean,
it's good.
by definition, I would say you're clutch because I can count on you in that moment.
yeah.
Like he's gonna deliver.
I
You
think I
are
think
But
I
you
clutch,
can
can
count
count
on
on
you
the
when it
other
matters
person
most.
throughout the whole game. It matters the whole game too,
right?
though, right? Like so
It's both. It's both.
it's a tough question,
Right.
right? Like you
Because I feel like clutch has to be like something right away. Like at the end of something, right? They can just show up and deliver. Let's say for example, like it can be like planned, right? But Ramond's always clutch in the sense that whenever I reach out to him, like he always like helped me out, right? It's clutch, but because you wasn't thinking about it, that wasn't in your schedule, right? So whenever he reach out, you always make time. So I feel like that's the
Yeah.
definition of clutch, right?
Hmm.
It's not like it's planned. It's just whenever that situation happens, you always deliver.
Yeah.
You might not be playing
mm,
like people. Oh, like what's the ball? I don't know, but whenever that ball is there, I'm gonna make that shot. It
yeah.
wasn't like I
Yeah.
was planning on it.
Yeah.
Planning on it. I feel like that's how I look at being clutch.
Yeah. I think of Shaq, right? Shaq was a terrible free throw shooter. We all know that. When it honestly, most centers are terrible free throw shooters, right? But I felt like Shaq always made them when he needed to, right? When it was like he could be like
Sometimes though, sometimes
nah,
Sometimes.
but more I think more times than not though, like I would have defined Shaq as a clutch player though.
free
Like,
throw
you know,
shoot a clutch free throw shooter though.
I never said a clutch. I think that he's just a clutch player. I think if it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Now, would I be sweating bullets when he's shooting them free throws? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
right.
I'm pretty confident that he would make them more times than he would miss them.
Free throw,
Most times.
free throw. He missed more than what's his percentage
I
like?
mean, but like I'm talking about like he could have shot like 32% at the free throw line for the season, but when it came to the playoffs though, it was like, look, you need to make these two free throws, fam. Like I
And,
just need you to make these two free throws.
and outside of that, it's not like to be clutch, you only have to shoot free throws. To shoot free throws, he probably was going to the paint. So that
Right,
free throw might have just been an extra shot. He's probably
right,
gonna hit the dunk. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get the dunk. If you foul him,
right,
it's an extra shot. You know what I mean?
right,
Yeah,
So he's clutch in this in that sense,
right.
man.
Because
But it's just
yeah,
yeah. Also, I would say
yeah.
that it has to be some type of uncertainty, right? Because like it's not planned. It wasn't certain, and you always deliver. That's what is considered to me like clutch, right? It's
yeah,
uncertain. Like you don't know if the game is gonna go down the wire, right? You're gonna need that one last shot to make to win the game.
right.
So
Hmm.
whenever you deliver, that's where you're clutch because you're not playing like yesterday. What's his name? Mike. What's his name for?
Mark
Mark
Andrews.
Andrews,
Yeah,
man.
That's where the
right,
conversation
This
started
this
from. Yeah,
this
right.
is where the conversation came
So
from, man.
yesterday, let's say he didn't know he was going to be in that situation because it wasn't planned, right?
right.
And
Nah,
being able to like, no,
I
I
th
mean he didn't.
I think the ball was
No,
going to Mark Andrews the
no.
entire play.
What I meant was like the entire game. They didn't know that they would have needed a 2 point conversion to tie the game
Yeah,
from the beginning of the game. It
that's
wasn't
true.
like planned. So in that situation, being clutch would have been like to deliver in this type of situation, knowing that it wasn't like shit happens, like they need you at that specific time to deliver. And in
Right.
Hmm.
that situation yesterday, he wasn't clutch.
Hell
You know,
nah. He was the complete opposite of that.
yeah. So
I don't even know what's the opposite of clutch. Just trash.
I,
Like, I'm like, what's the opposite? What's the opposite of clutch? Whatever that is, that's what Mark Andrews is.
but no, but in the one thing I also realized that you can be clutch, but there are certain situations too. Things just happen out of your control. Like you just make a mistake. Sometimes that costs you the entire game, like yesterday.
But
So
Hmm.
was that really out of his control though?
I mean, mistakes out of your control in a sense, right? I mean, like that's what is a mistake, right? I mean,
I'm not saying mistakes don't happen, but was that really out of his control though? Like, could he not have
yes,
caught the
because he
ball?
cut the ball, so catching the ball is out of his control.
So was that something he could have controlled? Could he have controlled the ball into his goddamn hands? Hell yeah, he could have.
I mean, likely the likelihood of doing that, he should have been able to do that because he's an athlete, right? You paid to do that, in that situation. That's your job. But sometimes at your
Yeah,
job, you messed up sometimes, and they can cost you a lot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I feel
facts.
like
yeah.
that's what happened. That's what happened yesterday.
Hmm.
It could change the course of your life
Right,
sometimes,
Yeah,
right,
right? Like it could change, like like not to put it all in that moment, but if let's say he catches that and they somehow win the game and somehow win the Super Bowl, right? That's a real alternate reality that could have
hmm
happened. Just
hmm
right.
to be honest, right? That's a real alternate reality. So it could really sometimes not hitting that clutch moment can really just change, the course of being like, yo, I was a great tight end or I
Right,
was a Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
and it's crazy because to be honest, if they threw 100 passes at him, he probably catch 95.
for
If
sure.
that same route, he probably
Right,
catch 95 of them, and that happened to be one of the five that that he missed in clutch time, man. So it's in those moments, man. But kind of to shift it a little bit, just to not to just pound on him. I know he's probably still feeling. He's probably gonna feel that for the rest of his life.
Yep.
But let's switch it to regular day life, man. What does like being clutch in regular day look like for you for y'all? Like what does it look like to be clutch?
I would say for me personally, man, just being efficient, right? Making sure things are done, right? Especially
Hmm.
when you run a business, like people can count on you. For example, like one of my people who work for us, like he has some like technical issue on the computer. He called me on a freaking Sunday, being able to like assist him in real time, making sure my phone is
Yeah.
always available whenever people call, checking my phone. For me, my business, what I'm doing, you have to be clutch, right? So at the end of the day, sometimes people can reach out to you, like some of their clients might need medication and they don't have that, right? Those things are important. So you got to make sure you make it happen. So we have like, we built relationship with like some pharmacies and stuff like that. So whenever those situations arise, we can reach out to like the director, whoever owns that. Hey, I know it's late, but XYZ happened. Is there a way we can like get this medication as soon as possible? And I don't know, I mean, just being, just making sure that for me personally, like, whatever you see is gonna, like we talked about earlier, whatever you see is gonna do, make sure you do it. And also,
Hmm.
like people in your circle can count on you.
Yep.
Whenever they
Hmm.
know they can count on you, you're dependable, you're trustworthy. They can always
Absolutely.
like if I reach out to DG, he always gonna be there and help me out on these things. So
Yeah.
I would say those are the things that I would say I incorporate in my day to day activity to be clutch.
Yeah.
Right.
Piggybacking off of what DG said, yeah, I think just being a man or woman of your word is really just the easiest way to showcase, being clutch. But I think about it from my perspective, right? Anyone who knows me knows I've been obsessed and always will be obsessed about my credit. And I think that's one of the biggest clutch things that you can do, pay your bills on time, right? I think something like that is like when you talk about everyday life, that's the easiest way of being clutch is just you know when that deadline is, when your due date is, for this payment and that payment and whatnot. As somebody who just knows like what the repercussions of not paying those things on time looks like and whatnot, having worked on in collections at one point and haven't seen the other side of things and that's crazy, right? Just seeing what people were going through and of course everyone goes through situations, right? Ups and downs happen, right? But something I've always been very adamant my entire life is always making sure that I pay my bills on time, man. Like
Hmm.
regardless of what it is, you just got to make it happen, right? Like regardless of what the circumstances are, you just got to you got to make it happen. And I think that's one of the easiest ways to be clutch, right? In everyday life is simply just doing what you're supposed to be doing all the time.
Right.
Except for them student loans. Them student loans ain't never getting paid. Fuck that.
I mean, is it really clutch if you're playing your hand? Clutch is like waiting last minute to the due day. Like shit, fuck, it's gonna be 5 o'clock. You need to
But
pay me right now.
you still did it though. As long
I'm just messing
regardless
around. I'm just messing
regardless if you
around.
did it at
Point though.
5 p.m.
Right? I was
You could
like,
be one of
God damn.
you could be one of the people who pays it 10 days in advance. You can pay it a month in advance, or you can pay it at literally 5 p.m., like the cutoff time. As long as you get that thing in on time, that's all that matters. That's all
I was
that
like,
matters,
man,
man.
I don't wait. The bank closed at 5. I gotta be there at 4:55 to get my
Come
Now
on,
ticket.
I
man.
ain't gonna say
Yeah.
I ain't gonna.
The bank hate to see you coming, you know what I'm saying?
Cause
Yeah.
I'm clutch. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be there. What about you, Ramon?
Um, I'm trying to think of a specific. I know that like the overall thing is like really just it's really about my word with things.
Mhm.
It's more than anything else. I feel like you might not always get me when you call me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But if I tell you that I'm going to do something, I will you can count on it happening.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You can count
Right,
on it happening, man. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You can like no matter what that is, it's like I'm usually not going to commit to something that I can't really deliver on. You know what I mean?
right,
And I think that I think understanding what you can be clutch in and not over promising is big too, right?
Yeah.
Like don't go in the game and saying that you could hit threes and you know what I mean. You can't. Like it's really like you know what I mean. Like you in the paint. We
Yeah.
can
right,
trust you in the paint, but we can't trust you out here. So I think that understanding what you are and can be clutch in is heavy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So a big thing with me, like I said though, is keeping my word and really like and also I think like it's helping my people like strategize. You know what I mean?
right,
It's like and that's usually be last minute too. A lot of people bounce ideas off me if they, you know what I'm saying, working on something or just you want to hit me about something. If I'm free, I'll do it right then. But if I'm not, I'll get back to you and then we'll set something up. And most times I can help you really strategize
right,
something that you're working on or you know what I mean, kind of
right.
pivot or have you thought about this? So I think
Mhm.
and specifically that's been recently it's been in the finance game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people hit me about a lot of different things, whether that's you know what I'm saying, what stocks you looking at? Boom, I'm ready. I
Right,
got you. You know what I'm saying? What
right,
you looking at on the credit side? You know anything about this? I know a little something. Let me get you right. Boom. You know, I'm try. Everybody talks about just get an LLC, but how I do it? Boom. We created a little document, bro. I can shoot it to you.
right,
It's
Mhm.
just I think like it's really being like ready for those moments where people could know that if they bounce ideas off you, you know what I mean, that you're gonna deliver most times. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like you said, there gonna be times I don't got the answer, but
Yeah.
right,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
You know, I think my team in every aspect knows that like, you know, if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna try to. And if they, you know, throw something my way, I can pivot too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
right,
I think that's the big thing is being like elusive enough
right.
to, you know what I mean, like pivot when shit happens. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just know
I
at the
think
end.
that's a piece of being clutch too, right? Is
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
is being able to in those moments where you're met with adversity, right? And shit does hit the fan,
Right,
how you show up in those moments too. I think that's a big piece of being clutch as well, is, in those emergency situations, right? I think about, just growing up. I know we kind of talked about this earlier, when we were having our conversation as well, but, single parents, and whatnot, like, like when they figure it out, right? I think about my mom, after my dad passed and whatnot, my mom working 3 jobs, just to support me and,
yep.
make ends meet at the end of the day. That's a clutch performance, right?
That's
facts,
clutch for
That's
sure.
literally the definition of clutch, right?
You're
facts,
right.
Not letting things slip, not letting things go to the wayside,
Right,
not letting us be homeless, not
for
like
sure.
there's so many different
facts.
ways to be clutch. And like I said, I think the essence of it really is, and shout out to Be Easy because he kind of tapped on this, but really it's just being a person of your word. We keep reiterating this, and there's so many different ways that you can eloquently say be a man or woman of your word, but it's just like that's just really what it boils down
Right,
to. Just be a person of your word, and that's literally what the definition of clutch is,
right,
right? You know, and so I'm glad that you mentioned that. But at the same time, clutch isn't about being perfect, right? Because no one's
right,
perfect. We're
right,
all There's always going to be that layup that you miss, or like, there's always going to be that opportunity that ends up falling through your hands. And I think that's enough to what people don't talk about, honestly,
right,
right? Clutch performers, people who are known as being clutch, they're not going to make it 100% of the
Yeah,
time, right? And I think there's this false perception that,
right.
oh yeah, every time like, Kobe, like I think is one of the definitions of like clutch. Like growing up, I love Kobe, right? At the end of the day, I think what a clutch performer is somebody who, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, in those critical moments, whose hand do you want that ball
Right.
in? Kobe's, right? You know, because he gives us our best shot at winning. Like
Right.
he gives us our best opportunity, you know, in order to make it. Now, is he going to make it every single time? No.
Well,
Absolutely. You know, right? You know, so I think that's also a sense of like, you know, there's this false perception that oh, to be clutch, you got to be
right,
perfect. That's not what
right,
about being clutch
right,
is. Clutch is
right,
being realistic, right? You know, just
right,
understanding, you know,
right,
how to learn from your mistakes, right?
right.
And then figure out, keep shooting, man. You know, at the end of the
Right.
day, shoot or shoot. You know, that's literally what they say all the time. Shoot or
Right.
shoot, man. Keep shooting.
Right. Yeah. I'll also add to be clutch, you have to be a leader. You can like
Hmm.
shy away
Facts.
from
Agreed.
responsibility, right?
Agreed.
You
Facts.
have to be a leader.
Agreed.
And also one thing is you have to learn to take accountability too. Whenever shit goes wrong, you have to
Yep.
be the one you have
Yep.
to say, guys,
Yep.
fuck, it was on me,
Yeah.
and that's something a leader would do, right? Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, and you see that so often time, like people will shy away from responsibility, right? I wouldn't consider you clutch in that moment, right? Whenever it's a big opportunity, you're like, ooh, I don't know. But if that person who's the leader, they're the one who always gonna be like, I'm gonna do it. Like even though they might not have everything it takes to do that specific task or skill set, but they're the one that would take that leadership. Like I'm gonna
Hmm.
do it.
Mhm.
So in that whatever that time is, all right, I'm gonna give that project to him. He's gonna get it done. So I
Yep.
feel like that's
Right.
one thing I just want to also
Yeah.
point out as well.
Yeah.
Just leadership
And
abilities.
I'm glad you touched on that because accountability is a big thing. That's like one of the pillars of my life, and I'm sure everyone can agree on here. But that being said, right, taking ownership of your mistakes, you know,
Correct.
past and present, or you know, whatever the case may be. Is there any particular moment or instance that y'all can think of that comes to mind where you dropped the ball, or you know, like there was your number was called upon and you didn't deliver, right? You know, like we talk about being clutch. In those clutch moments, there's definitely opportunities
Right.
that we missed out on. So, is there
Right.
any one particular one that comes to mind for
I
y'all?
mean, I would say I have a lot of them, but I would just share one. I would say for me it was like for me it was a job interview. I went through the first round, I killed it. In the second round, I believe I could have done more research about the company. I could
Hmm.
have prepared a little bit more, but I just felt I was just overwhelmed, and I felt like I got this right. And just by going in with that mindset, I dropped the ball a little bit because there are some questions that, as I wasn't able to like, articulate myself in a way that. And after a while, like, God damn, I have a damn, like, I know I'm messing up. Pretty sure I know.
And
Even though I
you
was
know
talking to
you
them,
fucking up,
Yeah.
bro.
right? I was talking to them. I was like, damn, I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about. So in that moment, I felt like, damn, I messed up.
Like,
If I could like prepare a
what
little
am I
bit
even
more,
saying?
yeah, what am I even saying? Like, like you deliver, you having that conversation, like in your mind, like, damn, effing up right now. So yeah, I would say because it was a job I actually wanted, right? So with that, yeah, I would say I dropped the ball a little bit. I could have prepared a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think preparation helps a lot to be clutch too. I think we kind of like briefly discussed this. In order to be clutch, you have to prepare, have to gain that confidence too.
Yeah.
It helps in this type of situations.
You know, the interviewer was on the other side of that, like, what that is?
What that is? You're like he really dumb.
You are really dumb.
If y'all ever, you know when DG is like panicking or is stuck when he makes. I can't even describe the look. Y'all remember that video that where he busted his ass and the look that was on his face? That's the look that DG has in those moments where he don't know what the hell he talking
Bro,
about.
bro,
I
bro,
know you made
bro.
that same face in that interview for
He
sure.
made
Listen,
that
bro.
same face.
I was I want this shit to be over because I was like, damn, like, yeah. You were asking me hard ass questions, bro. Like, damn.
He said, I'm ready for this shit to be done, bro. I know I fucked up. Just tell me I
Yeah,
didn't get it now, because
He
let's
yeah.
said,
wrap
"Look,
this.
I
Let's
fumble.
go ahead.
Yeah,
I wrap this
right,
up. You know what
he
I'm
said, look
saying?
like I know I ain't get the job. Let's
right.
Yeah,
just go ahead and wrap this
yeah.
up."
Let's not waste each other's time anymore. But all right, for me, man, there's one that I think. I mean, of course, there's like a bunch of them, like you said, but there's one that I think of like, and it was like I was like headlining this small like this show in Fort Collins when we was in college, right? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was headlining it, but I put a couple other artists on, and one of the artists that that came on, shout out to my man Hunter. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It was
Hmm.
Hunter and Zach, and I had like a feature on one of their songs, right? So I was I was headlining, but they was performing early, so you know what I'm saying. So I was like, I was a feature on there, so they wanted to bring me on their song. So I had my songs remembered, you know what I'm saying. But the songs that I did with them, you know what I'm saying. I kind of, I was like, I got it's a little short verse. I got this, but I got this shit, bro. Overconfidence. I'm helping run the event and all that shit too. So
Right.
you know, they call me like, yo, we about to go on. All right, cool, let's run it. You know what I'm saying? So my song's at the end of my verse is at the end of the song too. So they do the whole song. I'm hyping in the back. They throw me the mic. I say the first line and forget the whole rest of the verse, bro. I forgot the whole rest of the verse. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like me and one of the dudes that was on stage. We had a moment. We just looked at each other. He was looking at me like, "What you doing?" I was like, "Fam, I forgot it." And I just started saying, I said "A" through the rest of the verse, bro. Hey, turn up. Bro, that little front section got hype with me too, but they
Hold up,
didn't know
hold
that I
up,
Oh
forgot
my
my
gosh.
whole
hold
fa-
up for a minute. You said A, turn out the whole
for
time.
the whole rest of the verse. It was an 8 bar
Oh
verse.
my
I got
gosh.
one bar off, and for 7 bars, I was A-ing them boys.
A, turn out.
Bro, I,
Oh my
that shit was
gosh.
the worst performance of my life. But we had that little lock eyes moment, like, bro, I don't know this shit, and I
A.
just said A for 7 bars, and then I got back into the hook with him, and we had to talk after. I was like, hey, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I fucked that up. I'm not gonna lie. I gave them A's everything I had in me though. Like
That hey, those A's were on point. A,
I gave them the
turn up.
strongest A's they ever. That little front section got hyped with me for a second.
That's
So
Yeah.
there
hey
you
man,
go.
but that I knew and they knew I fucked this shit up bad. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
A, turn up.
Yeah. So
A, turn
that's
up. Whenever I don't know anything,
yes.
I'm just gonna say A, turn
Hey,
up.
Hey,
when in doubt,
hey,
when in doubt, A it
hey.
out. You know what I'm saying?
Damn,
Yeah, man.
damn.
Sheesh.
That's funny.
Yo,
That's hilarious.
Real life story.
real life story, man. Yeah, I had something
He
similar,
was
man.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Is he were you there were you there during his performance?
hmm
That's
I
I
hilarious.
don't
was.
know if he remembers it, but he was DJing, so he had
I
it. He
remember.
seen it.
I remember. I remember.
Bro, A,
I
turn
was
up.
sitting back there like,
A, turn up.
he's
That's
A for a
hilarious.
reason.
Hey.
Oh
Hey,
man, that shit happens, bro.
oh man. Shout out to
Tone
Kiki.
said,
She said
so
you
you
improvised and still
improvise.
came in the clutch.
That's
He's an
Oh,
air. Throw your hands in the air.
hands in the air.
Throw your hands in the air.
I mean, I would say that's clutch. You know what I
I,
mean? That
I don't know, man.
uncertainty.
It was a moment of uncertainty.
Yeah,
I wasn't
man.
ready though.
Oh
I ain't
my
gonna lie,
god.
man. I I got something similar. So anybody who knows us, at least recently, right, knows that we started a company called Remote Escapes. And one of the things that we did was we pitched our company at InvestFest back in August. Huge opportunity, right? We're talking about like $100,000 grant. When I tell you there was hundreds, it might have literally been thousands of companies that were there to
It felt like it.
to be there to present their companies and their ideas, right? You know, to potentially gain funding. 100K is a big deal. So
For sure.
we worked on our pitch, man. You know, we had been practicing, and I'm a pretty confident person. I, regardless of what situation, when it comes to public speaking, all of that, I present myself with confidence. But for whatever reason, this was the most nervous I had ever been in my life. Boy, when I tell you, I was literally sweating. I was so we to just paint the picture for y'all. So
Paint the picture for
we was in the Georgia, what was it, the Atlanta Convention
him.
Center,
Mm-hmm.
the
Congress Center, yeah, the Congress.
Georgia World Congress Center or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a anyone who's been there, it's a huge just building. And then there's multiple rooms throughout, right? And then there was like a couple of conference rooms that they were taking these different companies in to obviously do their pitches. And so there was a line to obviously pitch your company. I want to say we probably waited in line for might have been like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
it was a
that's
long time.
realistic.
It was a long time. We was waiting for a minute,
Hey,
and then
turn up.
but when we were in line, I was fine. I was like, all right, it's cool. Like I'm chilling, chopping. Once we get into the like actual like meeting room where we're about to go pitch, we didn't pitch in that room, but like we knew that we were getting called. Like they had us in different rows, and they would call a row, and all of that row would get up and like get ready to go pitch in another conference room next door. And so for whatever reason, that's when all the nerves settled in. And I was in that room like sweating bullets. I was like, fam, like, why am I so nervous? I was literally having an out of body experience. Like, why am I so nervous right now? This is so
Right.
stupid. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, Zenas, what are you doing? Like, you don't ever get nervous like this. I was like, this is crazy. So we eventually end up getting into they call our row, we go into the next room over to go pitch, and even when you get into that room you still have to wait in line, so it's not like you go from a line to a line to a line
Right.
and to more lines. So we was in line for like another 30 minutes in that room waiting to pitch. But so
Other
as we're
companies is
getting closer,
pitching while we in there too. You know what I'm
it's not
saying?
like it's everybody's watching you pitch. Like, everybody who's in that room is watching you pitch. So
Wow.
we're watching these other companies go, and some people don't, some people did great, some people did, not as great, and whatnot. But as we're getting closer, I'm getting like more and more nervous. I'm like, do I even remember my lines? I was like, fam, like, what is happening right now? I'm like, yo, I am so nervous. So finally, we get called up to go, and I was the one who kicked off the like. So the way that we did our pitch, I did the first part of the pitch, and then Ramon was doing the second part of our pitch. I did the first part of the pitch. I did exactly what Ramon did. I stated my first line and paused like for like 3 seconds. Now it doesn't sound like a lot. 3 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but in real time at that moment, 3 seconds felt like an eternity, fam. Like that was the
For
longest
sure,
three
yeah.
seconds of my life. I was like, yo, I just forgot my entire. I look. There was a point. I did the same thing Ramon did, where you look over at the other person on stage.
I,
I looked at Ramon, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking forward at the judges, and so
Yeah.
I was sitting there by
I
myself. I was like,
felt the look though. You know what I'm saying?
I looked over and I was like, oh shit. And then it
Uh,
eventually came back to me. I ended up walking back into it, but I remember just in that moment, I was like, shit. I was like, man, I'm sorry, man. I
Right.
completely forgot the like for that 3 seconds. Like I said, even going back and watching the video because we recorded the entire thing. It didn't seem like a long time, like even on the video, but in real time, like I said, I've never felt like
Oh
a
yeah.
longer 3 seconds
Oh
in my
yeah.
life. That out of body experience when you're looking at yourself, just
Right.
looking dumb, and it's just like,
Right.
damn, I'm sitting here just. And everybody sees you. There's all that anxiety just settles in, boy. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I felt like Mark Andrews in that moment, bro. I dropped the ball and I was just like, damn.
Right.
I gathered it. I didn't just A for the rest of it. I wasn't A for the next like
it's,
50
it's,
seconds.
remote
I
escapes.
wasn't out there throwing
Remote
your hands in the
escapes.
air.
Remote escapes.
I
That's
ended
it.
up getting back into it. But
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
that's definitely the thing that comes. Because I've never been nervous like that ever.
Right.
Like I don't know if I've ever been that nervous in
Right.
my life. Like I mean,
Right.
seriously. Like
That's
I'm like,
funny.
if this is what people deal with, just when it comes to nervousness, I don't like
Yeah,
this.
no,
I don't
it
want to deal with this
is,
no
bro.
more.
Anxiety, man. It's crazy. Yeah, you do feel that way. I mean, similar thing happened. I don't know if has this happened to you guys before. Like in college, at one point, bro, I was studying, and then during the final exam, bro, it's
Man,
like I can't retain any,
bro,
like nothing is
Hmm.
bro,
there.
what
Hmm.
the
I'm like,
fuck
what's
was?
going? I'm
You know
drawing
what I'm saying?
blank.
Like,
Like
yeah.
everything just seemed like a foreign language to me, bro. And I'm like, God, like I studied like 8 hours for this.
Shout out to Tracy. Shout out to Tracy. She said that happened to me before, and I spelled December wrong. That's when you know you was in there. Is there hold up 2 C's or is the E before?
Is it E? Is it V? You just in there, just like you couldn't figure it out. And
She spelled
Man.
she spelled dismember. That's what she spelled. Dismember.
and the more you
Jeez.
try, it's just like you just keep pushing the information far away. Like you just trying to think about it. You're like, damn, I only have like
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's like you already know how to do it, but in that moment, it's like you're just drawing blank. You can't even think about anything. It's crazy,
Yeah.
bro. Like damn, you're like damn, like what am I doing? And
Yeah.
then you see the time is going by. Like damn, I got like 35 minutes, and then you know you have a lot of problems to solve.
Yeah, bro.
But I mean, that was a clutch moment though, Z, because he turned it around, right? Imagine you would like just like. You
Yeah.
sat there and just like, damn.
I don't know what, like,
I was
it
about to
just
jump
literally, like,
in.
it
I was about to
it
jump
it
in.
was, but it literally just came back to me, like,
Yeah.
like, I don't, like, literally, like, I just got slapped, like, somebody just slapped me, and I was just like, oh yeah, by the way, like, and so ended up rolling back into it. But I'm telling you, man, like, those 3 seconds of just nothingness felt
Yeah.
like an eternity, man. Felt like an eternity.
From this moment, I knew I fucked up.
From that moment, I knew I fucked it.
Yeah, you got
Hey,
fucked.
thanks.
It's fact. You knew like, damn, bro. And I didn't think like,
You
yeah,
know?
I'm not doing good on this exam. Like,
Yeah.
fuck. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. It happens to the best of us. But I mean, we can't perform at optimal and 100% all the time, man. It
Right.
just
Right.
that's a part of being clutch, man. You understand those moments with those failures and you learn from them, right?
Right.
I know that the next time we ever pitch our company again, I'm definitely going to prepare a lot more. I'm going to do a lot more studying, a
Right.
lot more retaining
And,
before.
and and that was our first time pitching a
Right.
business. That was a
Right.
crazy experience. Like,
Right.
when they think
That's what I
about
was
like
gonna
people
say.
going to, like those moments like where you got to audition, that was the craziest thing about it is like
Right.
they had us, we thought we had a 2 minute, we thought we had a 2 minute speech or a 3 minute speech or something like that. And they said, no, we thought it was 2 minutes, but it was basically 1 minute of a speech and then 1 minute of them asking us questions.
Right.
So we found that out in the room and we like, it was a lot going on, other businesses going on. And then you walk up to the
Hmm.
front and they state your name and state your business. You know what I'm saying? All right, go. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
like, it seems like I wanted to touch on this moment too because it seems like so easy. Just talk about your business, right? It's easy. It's so easy to look at somebody and be like, this is all you had to do. All you had to
Right.
do was catch that pass.
Right.
All you had to do was talk about the business. All you had to do was remember what
Right.
in your interview. You know what I mean?
Right.
All you had to do was remember how to spell
Right.
December. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
it seems so easy, man, when it just from the spectators,
Right.
bro, like just to be like what you would do in that moment.
Right.
But a lot of people that speak on other people in that moment don't ever be in them
Right.
moments. They don't never
Right.
put
No,
themselves in
it's
moments
true.
where they have to be clutch
Hmm.
like
It's
that. It's
true.
Yeah.
easy to say I
Agreed.
could run 5 yards and catch a pass.
Right.
That's easy to say, but
Right.
have you ever done it in a game where this is the last play of
Right.
the game, damn near you down 2 points,
Right.
the pressure's on, it's 50,000
Right.
people, we are in a away game,
Hmm.
it's 10 degrees, you've been outside all day,
Right.
your hands are cold, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's so easy to speak on like a clutch moment from somebody else on what they should do
Yeah.
Right.
versus
Absolutely.
what you did, you know what I mean? From sitting in your, you sitting in there with a beer belly watching the game. Oh, he should have
Right.
fucking cut that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so, you know,
It's
Like,
so
fam,
true.
have
yeah,
you
bro,
ever
it's,
caught a ball in your life? Like what?
you know what I mean?
It's
So
true.
it's just,
That's crazy.
Mhm.
yeah, bro, it's
So
nuts.
that brings up a good question then. When it comes to clutchness, do y'all think it's more mental or physical?
For me, I would say it's both, right? It's both mental and physical, right? Because like we talked about, I think in order to be clutch, you have to build that confidence, and usually confidence is developed if you do certain things for a certain period of time. You know how to do those things so well, and you can
Hmm.
perform that task. It can wake you up, catch the ball, right? You just catch the ball. You don't have to think about it. So I think it has to be both, right? Because in order for you to be clutch, you got to build that confidence. You got to feel something like I can perform this task over and over. This is what I do. This is my life, right? And then having that mental fortitude to like be able to like put yourself in that situation because they're gonna, for example, if you're an athlete, right? If you're playing away, the fans are gonna be talking crazy, right? They're gonna be calling you names. They're gonna be screaming at
Yeah,
you. All these
yeah,
things, but
yeah.
being
Hmm.
able to have autonomy and control in this type of situation and not allowing that noise or whatever banter they're saying to like get into your head, right? So I would say
Hmm.
both, man. You have to be it has to require physical capability and mental capability as well in order for you to be clutch. Because
Yep.
one without the other, you're not going to be clutch.
That's a fact.
Right.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably lean a little bit on mental
Right.
because a lot of people like I for sure agree. And as for an athlete, right, you got to
Right.
have that physical repetition.
Right.
But for most people on their day to day on the clutch thing, it's probably mostly mental, right? Like I got it. I can't psych myself
Hmm.
out for this moment. I got to be, you know what I mean. I got to be mentally prepared for whatever can come my way and just. You know what I mean? I think that does come happen a lot of times from repetition, but it's not always
Right.
physical
Hmm.
repetition.
Right.
It
Yeah.
can be, right? But it's not always physical repetition. So I think, that mental repetition of doing things, I'm
Right.
sure Z, if we presented 40 times, that 50th time, our pitch would be insane, right? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But it was supposed to be a little choppy. It was the first time
Right.
through. You know, how could we be ready for something that we never did?
Yeah.
Right.
There's supposed to be, you know, people that pitch all the time. They pitch their business to big corporations and all kinds of stuff. So
Right.
I
Hmm.
think it's really just it's mental and repetition is what I would have to sit on.
Right.
Hmm.
I mean,
You know what I
it's
mean? And
right to a certain caveat, right? So physical, right? Because you're actually doing the work of preparation. You're studying, right? You're retaining the information. So that could argue that as like the
But
fact that
I
you're
think that is
doing it.
mental.
that's
Like
kind
I
of
think
mental though. Like
studying is mental
studying
though.
is more mental than
That's
physical.
mental. That's
It's a
mental
Right.
repetition.
repetition, but it's a mental
Correct.
Yeah.
repetition.
But right,
Yeah.
but in
That's
order
mental
to
repetition.
study though, you have to be in a good state physically. You can't study when you're sick. So that's what I'm saying. The physical aspect is important. You can't study when you're sick. You can't study when you're hurting, right? You have to be in a calm state physically. Like I can study and do these things. Like if I was sick right now, like I won't be on this live. You know,
Hmm.
because like yeah, it's mostly mental, but like that's why I'm saying like those two components has to
Yeah.
match to a certain level in order for you to perform that specific task.
I don't know about match. I think
They don't
I
have
do
to
agree with Ramon.
match.
It's to me, it's
I
more
mean, not
mental
match,
because
but at least it has to be like you need to have that physical
yeah,
capability as
Yeah, I
well.
think you need both, but
yeah,
that's
of
why I'm
course
saying
you
I think
need
mental
both.
more.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, yeah.
I
right,
definitely
right,
think it always leans more on mental, right? Because I think, to your point, right? MJ, played. Everyone remembers the flu game, right? This man balled out, you know, through sickness, right?
right.
Like was literally vomiting, during halftime and stuff like that, even on the sidelines and stuff. And so being able to power through that, there is obviously a very physical
Correct.
aspect of that, is, of course, but it takes that mental fortitude to be able to like even be in that position. Because right to your point, most people could have just sat out like, man, I'm sick, I got the flu. There's no way I could play, right? But I think it takes, especially in those moments. Shout out to Tracy because she said, especially in critical moments,
Right.
in those situations when you're super, um, when you're dealing with scenarios of pressure, it's
Mm-hmm.
all about how do you function under that pressure,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Like diamonds come from pressure,
Right.
right? Like you literally have to apply pressure in order to make diamonds. But pressure, like I said, people be folding like lawn chairs too,
Right.
though. Like people, regardless of how fit, you could be a top tier physical specimen, but if your mental fortitude is like a lawn chair, you finna be folded. So
Right.
I think it does require both, but I
Right.
definitely think it leans more on the mental side of things because I think a strong mental will get most people through a lot of things, right?
Right.
A prime example that I think of is like coaches, right? You look at some of these coaches, like a prime example, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, like he looked like he ain't never ran a 40-meter dash in his life, like, but he's an amazing coach, right? Like because he understands it,
Right.
he understands the game,
Right.
like and even though he may not have been the best athlete, he was a great leader, right?
For
To your
sure.
point, in order to be a great leader, way beyond physical,
Right.
right? Like somebody is some. There's a plenty of people who don't look or fit the role or uh, I guess what we would assume a leader to be, but it's all about how they present themselves in those moments. And it's just like, oh shit, well, hold up, let me tap into what this person got going on because of what they're saying,
Right.
right? Like because of how they present themselves, how they show up in those spaces. So I do absolutely think it is more mental, but it does require both.
Right.
And so
Right.
I want to give a shout out to my nephew really quick. Shout out to JoJo.
Shout out to Judge in the
Shout
building.
out to JoJo,
Shout out to
man.
JoJo, man.
No, I agree. Yeah, I just don't want to like neglect the physical part, right? Because I
Hmm.
feel like you need both, right? Because like
Yeah.
going back to MJ, right? MJ was in such a great shape that he could like play with the flu because he practiced so much, right?
Hmm.
Most people are not gonna be able to do that because the body won't even allow them to go through those types of like training and regimen, right? But like that's why I want to like give credit to like the physical. But
Yeah.
if I have to pick Lynn more, I would say for sure in this type of situation, yeah.
I want to give another shout out to my other nephew. Shout out Lil Ron, man.
Ryan's
Come
in the
on,
building.
man. Shout out to the
Okay. Say
nephews in the
less.
building,
Shout out to the
man.
nephews,
Shout out to
man.
the
Shout out,
nephews
shout
in
out to the
the building, man. The
yeah.
Willer fam.
Hey,
Shout out
hey,
to the gang,
Mickey,
man.
Mickey, where my nieces are, man? Come on, let them know.
You better
That's what's up. And
tell them.
shout out to Tracy one more time too. She said, when I get nervous, I get so scared I want to run out fast. My anxiety is bad as fuck. And I don't go to noisy places. It's mostly mental.
Hmm.
You know what
It's
I
true,
mean?
bro.
And I
Anxiety is
feel that,
crazy,
man. And
right?
and I think a lot of of people feel like that in moments when the eyes is on you, right?
Right.
It's a lot easier to do something when nobody's looking at you. It
Right.
really is. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when a bunch of people's looking at you and you in that moment where it can feel crazy. You know
Right.
what I mean? It can feel
Yeah.
crazy. It's a lot different, right? Shooting a free throw, you know,
By yourself.
when you got the
Right.
basketball
Yep.
rim on the side of the garage is a lot different than, you know what I'm saying, you down 1 point with 3 seconds
Right.
left,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's on you.
Yeah.
That feels different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That feels different, bro. So
Side note, I'm actually glad that you touched on that because I actually read this somewhere online. I don't know if it's true, right? But I read online that Jaden Daniels, he spent the entire offseason, before going into his rookie season, doing virtual like VR training, like placing himself in like certain like pressure situations.
Right.
Like that's why they're saying the reason why he's performing so well is like the effort that he's put into like simulating those real game
mm,
moments, right?
Right.
There's only so much simulation that you can do, right? On the practicing and whatnot. But I heard he's been like, you know, with when it comes to technology is advancing each and every day, right?
For
And
sure.
VR is becoming a very huge just industry, right? And so I heard that's what a lot of athletes are starting to invest in now
Right.
is VR simulation, and because it does present those real as close as you can get to those simulations in order to recreate that.
We lost you for a second, Z.
I think you cut out a little busy.
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
We
know.
can hear you
Yep.
now.
Yeah. I was just saying, yeah, it is something that I didn't really like read a lot into, but it does make sense, right? Technology is advancing every day, and you utilize leveraging them to give us our those advantages and whatnot. Because Jaden Daniels is balling out right now. Let's
Oh
be
yeah, he
honest. He's
Hmm.
is.
not playing like a rookie by any means.
Definitely
So
not.
shout out to Jaden Daniels, man, because he's going crazy.
Shout out to
Right.
Jay Daniels, bro.
Right.
And just to double down on just like that, those putting yourself in pressure situations, that's you have to do that.
Hmm.
Like on the regular. Like, yeah, I think every kid used to do this at the, you know what I'm saying, at the course, you'd be 3, 2, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Try to hit that last one. But you gotta like in order to really be ready for these moments, you have to put yourself in there in these moments on a regular basis. And I think
Yep.
a
Right.
lot of people don't do that just in on a regular. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that I
Hmm.
think that we do. We don't play a professional sport, but we put
Right.
ourselves into high stakes situations a lot of times, right?
For
Whether
sure.
it's taking this meeting with this person, whether it's this show, whether it's Zenas DJing in downtown New York for the first time, they looking at it for the first time.
Right.
This is it. You might not ever get booked if you don't
Right.
knock this out the park. You know what I'm saying? These are like you have to put yourself in those moments, and the more willing that you are to put yourself in those moments, you're gonna be ready for when your number is actually called.
For
Hmm.
sure.
I seen she was Tracy was talking about anxiety. I seen Andre 3000 talking about his anxiety had got so bad after performing a lot, and then like kind of going into hiding a little bit. It got so
Mm.
bad that he didn't even really want to be around people at all. He said I felt it, like I would be anxious at just being around people at all. So he said the only thing I could think of to do was to like put myself around people. So that he said he moved from Atlanta to New York
Hmm.
just because you can't not be around people in New York, right? So he
Hmm.
was just like, I just had to like throw myself back into like moments where I'm anxious. I had to throw myself in there just to kind of get comfortable back with even the regular
Right.
things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Right.
And don't got to always be like a touchdown pass at the last of the play. If there's things that really throw you off, sometimes you got to put yourself in those moments just to get a little more comfortable in them. You know?
Hmm.
Right. For sure.
And
Tracy,
shout out.
Tracy, if I'm Muslim. No, Tracy, I'm not Muslim.
Come on.
Shout out to Kiki. Sis said, how do you all ease nervous jitters when performing or presenting? That's a good question.
I mean,
Um,
I would I would go with presenting, right? I would say for me, just like preparation, because I notice that whenever I'm prepare, go over like whatever I'm talking about, make sure that I know the ins and outs, lay everything out. It makes the situation a lot easier because now I feel
mhm,
confident, right? Because I can recite that information. When I first started my job, I noticed that whenever I had presentation, I used to be nervous, and most of the reason why, because I never put in the work, the repetition to master and just learn and present those things. But whenever I started doing those things, just like prepping the night before, a couple of days in advance, I noticed that during the presentation, it was a lot easier to like stay calm. You know, even though I was a
Hmm.
little nervous, but I was able to deliver. I believe that you're still gonna have a little bit of nervousness, always gonna be there.
Yeah.
It's just
So,
that ability to like just show up and make them believe that it's not there. You
Hmm.
know, like just go out and just show up and just deliver that. Make them be like, damn, you're killing it. Yeah, I was a little
right.
nervous, but I was just able to like just overcome and just hide that nervousness and just deliver. So for me, I would say just like preparation helped me a lot
Yeah.
with my presentation for sure.
Yeah. I would say for me, when it comes to nervous jitters, I, I probably don't get nervous as much as the average person, but I definitely experience nerves. I don't want to make it sound like I have nerves. I'm still like I'm just impenenetrous. Like
Right.
I definitely
What is
have
that?
nerves.
What that is?
Nerves, what are that? Nah, that sounds like something we people deal with. Nah. When it comes to nerves, I think the biggest ways that I deal with it is breathing techniques. I think that's something that I really take into consideration a lot is before I go on stage or whatever the case may be, I really am intentional about my breathing techniques. And also something that I'm big on is prayer, man. I pray before every performance,
Right.
especially like, going on stage and whatnot. Like I think it just brings everything to reality. It grounds me in a lot of different ways. Of course, to DG's point, being prepared and the repetitions and whatnot. Of course, you practice to be in these moments, but
Right.
I'm a very spiritual person. I always take the opportunity to, give praise, to, the reason why I'm here and the opportunity that I even have to like cross this stage and share my passion and my joy of my life and of my hobbies with other people, and so I think that's one of the biggest things that I do is just, giving thanks, giving
Right.
grace, to the Most High, because otherwise I wouldn't be in this opportunity in the first place.
Right.
Bar. That's a bar, man. That's a big one. For me, both of what y'all said, man, and I'm heavy on like right before the breathing technique,
Right.
just breathing technique, like a big, you know what I'm saying? We just like to slow the heartbeat down a little bit with
Right.
like a little like a breather, you know what I'm saying? But a big thing for me also is to I I rephrase the situation in my mind, if
Right.
that makes sense
Mhm.
at all. So I'll explain it. So like if it's like maybe it's like an interview or something, right? I'll just remind myself what's actually happening. It's only pressure because you put yourself on it, right?
Mhm.
It's
Right.
pressure because you want something to happen out of it. But all that's really happening is you're sitting down with somebody else and having a conversation.
Yep.
Right.
So I had to remind myself what is actually happening. It's like it's just two people having a conversation. I want them to, like this thing that I'm talking
Right.
about or
Right.
like me. But to be honest, I'm just sitting here having a conversation. So I try to remind myself that. And I also try to remind myself that a lot of times big moments are just a step to the next big moment.
For sure.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's kind of like, like the interview is a step towards the job. It's just a step in it. It's not even the end goal. So like
Right.
I be kind of just reminding myself like, yo, let's knock out this step so I could get to the next
Right.
thing. This is just this is a step. I'm prepared. This is just a step so I can get to that next level. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Like this show that I'm about to do over here is just a step. It's like a stepping stone for that when I was
Right.
going to do in Africa. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So it's just
For
like,
sure.
it's I think that's ways that I kind of, rephrase it in my head as opposed to like this is the biggest moment of my life. It's like,
Hmm.
Right.
nah, just
Right. Right.
flip it, man. We just having a conversation. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing for me too is just for me too is like I realize that they are just people just like me, right? At the end of the day,
Yep.
they make mistakes. They might be a little bit nervous too during the
Facts.
interview. They might be a little nervous, but they're
Yeah.
still like
Facts.
trying to like show confidence in that situation and having that same mindset, right? And knowing that hey, if I messed up, I can always fix it, right? If I say something wrong, I can always go back and fix that. At the end of the day, just like I'll be fine.
Hmm.
And I feel like most of the time, once I go in there with that mindset, I'm not focusing on screwing up because most of the time, like, oh, I don't want, what if I said the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
And then now you focusing on the wrong thing instead of just going there and just focusing on what you're actually prepared for. So for me, those are the things that helped me, man. I ain't gonna lie. At
Hmm.
first, the first time I did a presentation, like in front of like 10 people, I was like, especially at work, I was so nervous, bro. I was like,
Hmm.
damn. But doing that, I was like, let me just practice more on my own and then just know what I'm talking about. It become a lot easier. Like I said, you can always feel a little bit of nervousness. It's gonna be there, for me personally, it's always there, but I just found ways to just like not show that when I'm like presenting.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
fact.
Yeah. Yeah. I, this is something that we touched on earlier. I think in today's age, it is harder to show up as your most authentic self and be extremely confident in moments sometimes because I think we are scrutinized at a higher level than like a lot of people have been in the past, right? Nowadays, if you do anything, any kind of like minimal mistake or anything like that, you all over the internet, right?
Right,
So you never know what the situation is, and depending on what stage, right? I could have been on one of them stages and had an epic fail,
right,
right? Just like
right.
DJing, and all of a sudden I'm the laughing stock of the internet. I'm on everybody's meme, like, hey, the
Yeah.
trashiest DJ I ever seen in my life type stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, bruh, like that was one moment. Have you been to the rest of my sets? Like the rest of my sets, I went crazy. It
Right,
was that one moment, so that's the crazy thing about today's age is just we are so connected more than we've ever been, but at the same time we're placed under such a particular microscope nowadays that
correct.
anything that you do, any type of mistake, a prime example we were talking about earlier is Mark Andrews, right? When you're on those grandest of stages and you make a mistake, to the point we talked about earlier, you could have been balling out, could have been, going crazy all season. And then it comes to that one moment, where you need a 2-point conversion and you drop the pass. And then all of a sudden it's just like, man, what all that was for naught, right? And it's
Right,
just like, it's crazy, just being in the era that we are now, just with technology and the access that we have. And something that we touch on is cancel culture and how quick people are to just like scrutinize people and point fingers and whatnot. There's so much additional pressure I think that is added to our generations and future generations as well
right,
because of the like that we live under.
right,
So I did want to like
Hmm.
label that as a thing because that is very real, right?
right,
I'm not saying
right,
that like you're gonna go and give a presentation and
right,
you're all of a sudden gonna be like on everybody's Twitter, or
right.
something like that. But you never know,
You
man.
never
Like
know.
people be recorded like at
Right,
any given moment
right,
nowadays. It's
right,
crazy,
right.
So you truly never
Now,
know.
now I would say, man, we lack empathy in this generation, right? We don't.
Mhm.
It's
Thanks.
hard. We don't put ourselves in other people's shoe. We always just assume that, oh yeah, if I was in a situation, if someone broke into my house, how would I put that person in fucking
Full Nelson.
hedgehog or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We always believe that it's not gonna happen to us, and we're always gonna act different in that situation because we're not there. It's easier for me to sit on the couch and critique somebody who playing football, right? Because I'm not playing.
Mhm.
I don't know what it's like when you have like 70,000 people like fucking screaming and yelling at you and all that stuff. I don't know what it's like. I've never been in this type of situation before, so it's easier for me to like be on my couch eating my chips and say, "Man, you suck," because
Yeah.
I'm not there. So I feel like when you start to like put yourself in this type of situation, like understand, like then you give them a little more grace. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like, because you're
Hmm.
like, man, that could have happened to me too. I don't know, it's fucking
Hmm.
cold in Buffalo, it's snowing, like the balls are slippery and all that stuff. You play sports, there was some time you're like, bro, I should have scored. I was wide open. I could have made that
Right.
layup. And then you be thinking about it over and over.
Right.
So, like knowing that just like for me, it's like you just give them a little grace because like, man, I could have done that. That could have
Hmm.
been me too, performing. I feel like you said, Z, nowadays it's so easy with social media, right? I feel like before back in the day, once you leave the game, it's done, right? No one's not really talking about it. You're not really saying it, right? People are talking about it, but you're not saying it. However, nowadays, people are like commenting, like reaching out to your Instagram, calling you suck, calling you names, like talking about your families and all
Mhm.
that stuff. So it's not just the game. Like you gotta live with that for forever, pretty much. They're
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
memes about you, right? They're calling you names. So it's kind of like hard nowadays being an athlete. I would say so, bro.
Yeah.
Especially if you're screwing up, right?
Yeah.
Because people can just like reach out to you, and people who don't even play, bro, they'll obviously people online calling LeBron suck. Like you, like what? LeBron James suck at basketball? Like you,
That's
what are you good
insane.
at? What are you
Mhm.
killing in your life? What are you doing to tell
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
person they're not good? For me personally, I
But
believe
but to that point though, if LeBron missed a wide open layup to win the game, there might be a lot of like, bro, you're like the greatest athlete on the planet right now. So like,
right,
what are you doing? There's different levels, right? So I think the thing is the more talent and the more just power that you possess, right? The more status, the more that that's expected of you, right? So it's also like it comes with the territory though, and
Yeah.
that's why I think you really have to be comfortable with it. You have to have that mental fortitude,
Right. Oh,
because
I agree.
I also, like, we've seen it. Some athletes and some celebrities can't deal with the anxiety, right?
Right.
Like they end up like, I love the sport or I loved my art so much, but I just couldn't deal with the anxiety of just like everything that came along with it. I couldn't
Right.
deal with the fame and deal with these situations and whatnot. Um,
Right.
so I like to the point that we talked about earlier. Is it more mental? Is it more physical? Is it more learned, or is it more um? It, it,
We can hear you again, Z.
Cutting out again, Z.
I don't
It,
know. My AirPods is messing up.
iPhone.
No, don't
He, he
relax.
he said he
It's
said
not
it's
my
not me.
phone that's messing up. It's not my phone. It's my AirPods. Relax.
What kind
First
of
and
air? What kind?
Who is it made
What
by?
kind of AirPods you got?
Apple, right? Made by Apple, right? Same people that make the iPhone, so it's the same thing.
nah, man. Nah, man. The only
Let me
reason
just
why
shout
we
out
having this live is because of Apple right now. So I don't even want to
Right.
hear y'all's else.
Shout out to Apple.
shout out to Tracy real quick, man. She said this. She said our generation is like a sad generation with happy
Yeah.
pictures.
Fact.
You know what I mean? And I think that's super true, man. I wanted to hit on that because it's something we talked about. It's like a lot of people don't define what a win
Right.
is, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, okay. Look, we keep talking to Mark Andrews because he's in the moment right now, right? He did miss that catch that they might have went to the Super Bowl without it, right? If he caught it, right? He missed it. It was right in his hands. He missed it. That did happen, right? So he lost the game, but he's probably going to still at some point be a Hall of Fame tight end.
Right.
Hmm.
He made it to the league, which most people don't ever do. He's making more money than probably 85% of people in the, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like we have to remember that we have to define what a win is in our
Hmm.
own book. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Of course you
Right.
want to win the game. You want to win every game. If you play football, if you play any sport and do anything, you want to win every time, but you have to define what that is for yourself sometimes
Hmm.
because
Right.
like you said, if not, you just gonna have a whole bunch of highlight moments on your gram don't mean that you have a good life. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
might just if you doing all that shit just to look cool for people, that shit, you know what I mean? That shit really gonna have you in a weird spot when you like, bro, I don't even like this life. I'm just a lot of people is in it. You see like a lot of people kind of blowing up in different ways and then
Right.
blowing up in quotes because they're doing things that they think other people want to see,
Right.
but the reality is they don't even really fuck with what they doing.
Hmm.
So
Fact.
I want to double down on that and just say make sure that you define the wins yourself on
Right.
Yeah.
what a win actually is, and then you figure out how to move around that and base your reality in that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that because it's something that we talked about earlier is separating the perspective of everyone else from your own perspective, right? You have to understand that, like, you the perspective that matters at the end of the day is your own. Like,
Fact.
how do you define yourself? How do you define your own success? How do you
Right.
define your own well-being and whatnot?
Right.
And as long as you can always remember that, because just like we talked about last week and many weeks prior to that, we will talk about it. We'll continue to talk about it from now on. Is people are going to judge you regardless,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what you do, good or bad. People are always going to judge you. You're always going to be placed under a particular or painted in a particular way. And that's just the reality of life,
For
right?
sure.
But as long
Sure.
as you understand that you are happy and you don't buy into all of
Right.
that, right? You just have to dead all the noise, man. Really, at the end of the day, you just have to show up and keep being great, man. That's it. Just keep being great. That's all that you can do because it's tough out here, man. Especially on social media and everybody want to have Twitter fingers and everybody's comfortable being behind a screen, man. So
Right.
everybody can send out a tweet, can reply to a story, can comment on a post and all that stuff, but we know these people wouldn't say that to your face in real life,
Right.
so it's just like everybody feels comfortable behind all these screens and whatnot, but just understanding your reality and like, are you just happy with where you're at, like in real life? What they say, what do the cool kids say? IRL in real life, like, are you cool with yourself? IRL, that's all that matters.
Is that what that means? I just learned that today.
I know
IRL
you've
in
seen it
real life.
before,
I've seen it so many times. What the fuck is this?
huh?
Yeah, in real life. Wow, that's to that time.
Yeah, we're getting closer to
Y'all
that
want
time, man.
You
y'all
want
want to do the would you
you
rather
want
question?
you
Yeah,
to end it on that? Would you rather question you got to put up, Z?
Yeah.
yeah.
What you got for us?
All right. So for today, we always like to wrap up the episodes with a would you rather question. Keep y'all on y'all's toes, man. We got to put y'all on the spot, man. This is the Spot Network, so we're gonna put y'all on the spot. That being said, would you rather perform your absolute best but lose because of factors outside of your control, or underperform and still win due to luck?
Damn.
So I'm gonna repeat the question. Would you rather perform your absolute best but lose because of situations or factors that you couldn't control, or underperform and still win due to luck?
I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about sports or business? Because I want to know. Because my answer would be a little different. For me, it'll be a little different. Like for
Well, just say I
sports,
would
I would
say anything with it's your team though. Like think about
oh,
it
okay.
being like your team that you fuck with. So it could be business, but it's your team too, right? Like it's your
Hmm.
team. It's like it could be. Let's say it's business, but let's say it's a spot network. Maybe if it's business, right? Like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like you said you was gonna get some stuff done, and you just and you was underperforming. Like Z had to step in. Like damn, bro.
Oh,
All right, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like you dropped the ball either way. You know what I'm saying?
right. Then I would probably say the first one. I'd rather give it my all, right? Because I and then lose than just not doing anything and then let other thing carry me and then win by luck. Because the reason why I feel like by me giving my all in that situation, I might not win, but I think I'm gonna learn a lot that's gonna help me the next task or the next game that I can use that skill set and be better at compared to the
Hmm.
latter that I just win by luck. And at the end of the day, I'm just gonna feel like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be able to learn anything to help myself out. It's just like someone just like handing me things, which I believe that is gonna hamper my overall growth and progress. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 1,000% on your side with this one, bro. You know what I mean? Being because if you give your all, you couldn't have gave more.
right,
Hmm.
You might question it a little bit, like if I only would have, but it's like if you give your all, you couldn't have gave more. And I know that, like to be honest, you always learn more from a loss than a win. You know
right,
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
right,
kind of like if I gave everything I had and still lost in a moment, then it's just not it wasn't meant to be. You have to be good with that. You know what I'm saying? Like like I said, I don't feel good when I don't deliver on things
right,
that I'm trying to. You know what I mean? If I'm part of any team, whether that's like you said, sports, business,
right,
any part, any team, and I usually take on passion projects with people that I
Hmm.
like.
right,
I do that on purpose. I gotta have a team around me that I can actually work with, and I got to be doing something that I actually see the vision of. You know what I mean? So with those two, if I'm in something like that and I'm not delivering, and underperformed, you know what I
right,
mean? If it was up to me, you know what I'm saying,
right,
and we had a big moment, and I thought it was cool to get super drunk the night before, came in hungover, forgetting
Hmm.
stuff, and that shit ain't. You know what I'm saying? We might have still, Z might have carried us to get the $100,000 grant, but
right.
maybe I want the
That's what
$100,000
I was
grant.
saying. Business,
That's what I'm
business,
saying,
you
man.
know,
Like,
business
you
might
know
be
what
a
I'm
little
saying? You
different.
know what I'm
I'm like,
saying?
Might be a
that's
little
But
crazy.
different.
but if that,
Yeah, business might be a little
yeah,
different,
man,
right?
yeah, man. But I honestly feel like if you judge it off one moment, it's hard. But
Right.
if when you
Collective,
think
right.
about a system of a person, I heard
Right.
this thing that said I was reading what's it Atomic Habits. We talk about it all to the level of the occasion. They
And enjoy.
if you think about it long term, you're gonna always fall to the level of like I was giving my 100% versus I was just underperforming and winning.
Right.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I'm on the lose side, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Z?
I don't know, man.
I feel you.
I'm a,
I feel you.
I because so from my perspective, right? As much as I agree with y'all, I think I am the type of person who's going to give my 100% at all times. I'm gonna show up as my best self, but as a realistic person too, though, like I know that there's going to be moments and times where I underperform, and if we're talking about a team effort, if I may not have performed my best, but my team, we still won because
Right.
of like some
That's
fluke in
right.
the situation. Like Kansas City's been winning all
Right.
year due to luck, right? So
Fact.
I'm just like,
That's true. I
I,
agree.
I don't know. Like I think I might rather be on the winning side because, like, granted, I may not have performed in that moment at my best, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to give my best the next time out, and every time out. It's
I
just
mean,
there's
right,
there's situations where you just are not going to perform well, and you still presented with an opportunity to win. A prime example is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson didn't play great last night, but he still willed his team to an opportunity where they could have won. Did they lose? Yeah, they
right,
ultimately ended up losing. And I say that to say Lamar Jackson is in a situation where, like, you could tell he hates losing,
right,
and he's been on the side of losing a lot more than he's
right,
been on the side of winning. He's
right,
3-5 in the playoffs, right?
right,
So he's been balling. Everyone knows he's a baller. He's won 2 MVPs. He might very well win a third one this year because he's been going crazy. But like that, it sucks to lose though. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you do learn a lot from those losses, and I do agree with that. But if all this effort that you're giving,
right,
uh, and you never win, it almost feels like, not that you're necessarily seeking that validation, but we all step out to win every day though,
right,
right? Like, I don't think anyone wakes up like, oh, I'm gonna lose today. Like,
right, right.
I don't know, like, I do agree with y'all. I do
No,
think, like, at the end of the day, you
you
want to
got a
give your
great
best
point
effort.
too.
It's a
But
good
You
to
got a
me,
great point,
like,
point.
right,
that's the point of it being a team, right? Like,
right,
because at some points, like, you're going to perform better than I am going to. DG, you're going to perform better than I am
right,
going to. And that's the whole reason why you have a team. Because, like, at the end of the day, there has to be somebody who, like, balls out, who has to lift everybody up. Sometimes you got to put the whole team on your back. You got to go
right,
beast mode. You got to just put the whole team on your back. But sometimes I'm not going to be able to be that person. And that's
right,
okay.
right,
So,
I don't
um,
right.
know, but
I
No,
think that,
bro, you kind of you taking both, you doing the both sides
right,
thing a little bit because you kind of saying
right,
like you kind
right,
of saying next time I'm gonna be the one
right,
giving my all.
right,
That means that's like
right,
saying next time we're gonna win. You know what I'm
right,
saying? We're not gonna lose every game. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
right.
We ain't gonna lose
but
every
okay,
year. So
okay. So,
you
we're
know,
pretty much saying, so the comparison
You
is
gotta play both sides.
yeah,
I ain't gonna lie, I am playing both sides. But okay, so the question is, so do I want to be Lamar Jackson or do I want to be Robert Ory?
damn near
Yeah.
right. Damn near Charles Barkley or Robert Horry. You know what I'm saying?
Charles
That's not that.
Barkley or
Right,
Robert Ory? Damn,
right.
that's because
Or
Robert
Carmelo
Ory.
Anthony.
Shout out to
What about
Robert
Robert
Carmelo?
Ory,
Horry too,
shout out to Robert Ory.
man.
That boy fell in the six championships. He literally fell in the six
Right.
championships.
Would you rather?
And
That's the question. Would you rather be that guy, or like AI or Carmelo or Charles Barkley? Would you rather be? Yeah, you got 6 championship, but like
yeah,
that's kind of
I,
what
I guess
the man.
I guess if that's what the comparison is, then I guess I got to go with Charles Barkley because at the end of, at the end of the day, he's still defined as one of the best. But I mean,
He's
if you
back
think
home.
about
He's
it,
back home. Remind. He's back home. He's back
You
home.
better-
if you're talking about we were just talking about it earlier, man. Like, how do you define winning, right? Robert Ory's a winner, bro. Like,
he is a winner.
Right.
he got 6 championships, and I don't even know what he's worth. He probably didn't even make as much. Like, he's obviously he wasn't signing no max contracts or anything like that. But I'm sure he lives a good life. He's probably out there like living his best life,
Right.
kind of thing. And the thing that sucks, man, like, to Kelvin's point, nobody wants to be Charles Barkley, man. Like, to be considered one of the greatest of all time, that's like a Charles Barkley or a Dan Marino to have always just been. You got there, right? You actually got to the championship and lost, man. Like, losing, we always talk about it, right? When you lose matters. And so
Right.
if you get all the way to the finish line and don't cross, that's like one of the most defeating feelings ever.
Right.
Like, ever, bro. Like, if I'm talking about, like, you're 2 feet away from the finish line, like the finish line is there and you can't cross, like, that's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
So
But
I,
would you
I
rather?
don't
Would
know.
you rather? The question you like you going all over the place.
All right,
Would you
I'm
rather?
taking Charles Barkley. I'm gonna be Charles Barkley. God dang it, I'm gonna be Charles Barkley.
and
I'm gonna be Charles Barkley because
it is tough though because when you think about never winning, that's tough. right? That is
Right.
it is tough,
Cause
right?
I,
Like,
It's
cause I
but
tough,
I
was
feel
man.
like
thinking of,
if you were always underperforming, you eventually getting let loose anyway, though. And
right,
I
right,
want to shout out to who
right.
knows how big this is going to get at some point. So shout out to Robert Ory. Not to say he was underperforming. Shout out to Robert, man.
Shout out to Robert, man.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but like at some point, if you're underperforming, but the team is gonna let you go.
Right,
You know what I mean? That's like a natural thing, right?
right,
Like I think they say how you do anything is how you do everything sometimes, man.
fact,
Yeah,
So
fact. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
but also not everybody could be a star player. But Robert Ory was he
but
was a
I
great
don't
role player.
consider that the same as underperforming. He's
Right.
performing to his
He's
level.
Yeah,
performing.
That's
Right,
a little
yeah,
bit different. Like that's
right,
a
yeah.
little bit different, I guess.
right.
You know.
We're talking about
So
like you just
so
like not
as a
doing
follow
right,
up question, would you rather, let's say, like be a Dan Marino, right? They go to the Super Bowl, right? You the man. You did everything you can do. You gave it everything you had. Lose or just be the second string, like where you didn't even play. You didn't even play. Like your team won, but you didn't
right.
even play.
I know.
You came in on the last down and you downed it
I'm,
on fourth down.
that's me.
Hey,
That's me.
you got a ring
That's
though.
me,
You got a
baby.
ring.
That's me. I, I'm out here, baby. Bling, bling. Give me my ring, baby. I don't care if I sat on the bench. I'll be like, man, hey, I got a ring, baby. I got a ring. I made the 52-man roster, baby. I got a ring.
Hey,
That's all that matters.
hey, shout out to Kels. He said the right answer is to perform your best and lose. As I would tell my son that.
Mm,
But for me, I would rather underperform and win.
mm.
So
Yeah.
he was like personally rather underperform. So Kels, you rather be like the second string quarterback, just never play the entire
Yep.
season. Your team
Yep.
is up by 40 points. Just take a knee and win the Super Bowl.
Yep. Hey, because he still had to play his role. The second string, you still got to play over. You got to show up and practice your ass off. You just
Right,
know
but
you
you
probably
never
never gonna make it
play
to see
though.
the field,
You never play the entire
bro.
season. You guys are up by
But
40 points, and they
I'm
just taking a
making
knee.
I'm still making $1.2 million a year though. Like what are
But
you talking about?
we're not talking about just money though, because
We're
I'm
not talking
sure
about
that Dan
money.
Marino was making more money
Right,
than whoever was the
right,
second string on that
Yeah,
right.
you
other
right.
team.
You right. You right.
And
You
still
right.
is. You know what I'm saying?
Kale's gonna be come home and show me his ring. You look at DG. I got my
Yeah,
ring.
Mark said, "Hey, son, you know what I'm saying? I didn't took a couple wins and I didn't underperform, but don't be like me, man, little man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be better than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's hard
Yeah.
though. It's hard
It is
because
tough.
I'm thinking about for sports. I'm thinking about more likely to take the on overperform. But what about business, right? Would you rather if you're in business now, right? Would you rather like be the one who put in all the work or your business
Why
fail,
not,
or you work with someone else, you're at the back end of things and now business become profitable. So
bro?
from business standpoint, I would probably say, damn, shit,
I'm underperforming. I'm underperforming and taking the
I want
win,
to be a
bro.
star. I just want to get, I just want to get
Yeah.
paid.
And I don't
Yeah,
even
bro. That's what I'm
care
saying.
about being a star necessarily, but like,
Right.
man, like I said, I only join teams that I really rock with the
Call me
people
Robert
or the
Ory.
vision. He said,
Yeah.
or to it.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so in business, my approach would be a little different. I would say in
Yeah.
business, my
I
approach
think
would
it's
be a little
different,
Absolutely.
different.
but I feel like it's different if I'm like, I guess, working for a company and that company's doing a bunch and I'm doing a little bit
Right,
versus like I'm building it with y'all and y'all are
right.
doing everything and I'm just like, oh man, I forgot that shit,
Yeah,
bro.
but we
I
make
forgot
20
to,
mil
yeah,
though. We
man.
make
I
20
tell
mil still though. We make 20 mil. So at the end of the day, you say
nah,
it'd be like
I feel
7.5 or
like it is a
whatever.
win. It's a win, but
Right,
it's kind of like, bro, I think personally where my head is, I can't
right,
get with like letting my team down like this this
Yeah.
underperforming and feel good about it. Of course, I'm gonna feel
right,
good about 20 M's, right?
right,
Yeah, but like, bro, I'm the type of person I am. I like to, eat what you
right.
kill. I like
Yeah.
For
to eat
real.
what you kill. So it's kind of like, bro, we get 20 mil, we gonna split that three ways, and y'all
Right,
did everything. I just showed up, and I barely even did a good talk. Y'all
right,
didn't made all the deals. Y'all didn't got
right.
all the, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
No, I feel
I'm
you.
not gonna feel good about that. You know what I'm
Ramon was the one who showed up for the group project on the day that it was due, and
saying?
got credit for it. He said, "I appreciate y'all. I
I
appreciate
mean,
y'all."
Appreciate y'all, man.
in business, Kels, I'm gonna go and call me Robert Ory too in
That's
business.
it, bro. I'm Robert. If we're talking about, if we're talking corporate, absolutely, I'm riding the bench, baby. I'm underperforming,
Right.
and I'm taking the dub, baby.
But
Because
it's
also,
like
I
right,
also think about it right from a business perspective.
it's
everyone
hard though, right? It's hard,
everyone hates
right?
to be the person who's overperforming, like you're killing it and not getting recognized for it.
Right,
Like that's one of the hardest pieces too, right? You know, like where it's
right,
just like, damn,
right.
like,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
hard.
So like
Yeah, it's hard, especially in
like for
business, right?
example, like let's say you were that person who was always killing it, and every time you applied for that VP role, like you know you're a star,
Right.
like you are the guy. And every time you apply for that VP role, you keep getting declined and passed over by someone else. It's just like, fam, like I'm
Yeah,
killing this shit.
yeah,
Like how am I not getting this job? Like,
yeah.
boy, ain't no way.
No,
Yeah, give me. I'm
but
Robert Ory all day.
my point that I see it though, because I would feel some type of way though. I ain't gonna lie. Every time like I just underperform and then my team is winning, I'm gonna feel some type of like God, not doing anything, and they're like doing all the pitch with to see. Even though we're making money, I'm not gonna be mad at the money part, but just to feel like I'm not contributing anything. I'm just like
Like
not doing
every
anything.
time we do anything, I just under.
Right.
Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a lot different. Like
Underperform.
I
Yeah.
hold myself at a different. It's
Right.
just when
I
you're working for a company,
agree.
it's kind of one thing, right? That's a different thing still. But like,
Right.
like when you building something with your people
Right.
and y'all
Hmm.
going
Yeah.
towards a vision, like just imagine Z like yo, like we keep getting booked as like I'm started DJing up, so they was booking us as a duo DJ, but every time I get up there, I be fucking up. You got saved today every time, bro. You gotta we getting to it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't book us every time. I'm stopping the beat mid thing and trying to talk over it. Hey, my fault, y'all. I'm
Hey,
had
put your
technical
hands in the
difficulties here.
air.
Hey,
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 Hey, or
how I
throw
pushed
your
it,
hands in the
how
air.
you know what I mean? Like
right.
I'm not feeling good about that. If we keep getting booked, it's because it's because of you for sure. We
Right.
splitting
Or
that down
me.
the middle. At a point, you not gonna feel good about that. Like, bro, you are fucking up, bro. Like every day, you drunk in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You not practice. Like, what are we doing? What are we
Right.
doing, bro? Like, we gonna have to have I'll be winning technically, but like, I feel like you could lose relationships like that too. Like,
Yeah, I feel
Right.
bro, like, bro, you not doing what you said you was gonna
yeah,
do at a
Coming
certain
yeah,
Robert
point,
Ory
bro.
is hilarious.
Like,
yeah. I feel you. I feel you. That's different. Like I think
Right.
if you're building a company, I think that
Right.
is it's a different
Right.
situation, right?
Right.
But um, yeah, like I said, if it's corporate, I'm Robert Ory. Like,
facts. And give me the money and the rings, baby.
we
All
all
right.
got bonuses. Oh,
That's
thank you.
Come on, man.
Appreciate
hilarious. That's
it.
hilarious. Call me Robert Ory. Cause that cracked me up, bro. He
Yeah.
said, Call me Robert Ory. All righty, fellas. Just want to say big shout out to everyone who joined the live today, man. Really appreciate you
Mhm.
guys for tuning in every weekend, every Monday, joining us. Appreciate the love.
Yeah. Shout out to all the people who be on here, man. We here every Monday, manifesting, turning these things into greatness, man. We normalizing greatness. That's what we do here at the Spot Network. So we appreciate y'all along this journey, man, who are rocking with us. And let's keep being great, man. Let's keep striving for the best. Let's keep overperforming. Hopefully getting recognized for it though.
For sure.
Absolutely.
At
Make
least.
sure that you're valued. Make sure that you value. Make sure you're somewhere where your effort doesn't go to waste.
For
First and
sure.
foremost. But other than that, man, we out here normalizing greatness, man. So join us next week. We'll be back here and every week after that. And yeah, we out this thing, man.
Yeah,
Come
shout
on,
out
man.
to y'all, boys.
Shout out to
All right, y'all.
y'all,
All
man.
right. Peace out.
Appreciate everybody tapping in.